Welcome back, everybody, to your daily update on the state of the Malazan Empire, or the Letheri Empire, or some others. And we're back here today with Dust of Dreams, the end of Book 1. I finished it earlier today. I didn't do a video yesterday, as you may have noticed, because I was indisposed. A friend, like a former flatmate, came to visit and deliver a barrel, because I planned to make new mead, and we used to make mead, and it was still at his place. And he brought that by, and then things kind of escalated, and I spent a lot of time on this balcony, because it was sunny, and had a barbecue, and had another barbecue, and maybe I was overdoing it a bit, and I'm still feeling a bit under the weather from from that weekend. But things escalate sometimes. And yes, I'm going to make mead real soon. Maybe I can actually, make mead while talking to the camera, so you can watch me make mead. It's not that exciting, but let me know if that's something you want to see in the comments. So, but now let's get into Dust of Dreams, chapters 5 and 6. Cheers. So yeah, we finally get sort of the ending of the preparation of things, the things to come within this book, by which we we finally get told sort of what the Bone Hunters are planning, what the Adjunct is planning to do, which is to march to Collance to do something there, which involves, as we all know by now, everyone's favorite arbiters, cold-eyed arbiters of justice, which, doesn't really exist. But, that's a different thing. The Forkrul Assail. And, yeah. We also have, more stuff going on, and we're going to go back into those things as well. But, the main thing is the planning, or not really planning, but that like council, so-called council with Tevere and, or Tavor, or whatever you pronounce it, together with Quick Ben. And Quick Ben explaining stuff, and I felt like it's very important there, that idea of not wanting to be used by the gods and not just blindly accepting these things that gods and goddesses do, like what we see, like the assignment of roles and stuff like that. And I feel this is like a crucial scene in the book, because we learn, like, for the first time we see Tevere actually show emotions, and these emotions are apparently anger. There's still cold anger, but there's anger, so there's that. I feel that this is sort of the important bit here, is very much the idea of the Bone Hunters being unwitnessed because they're doing something that needs doing, but may not make them any friends. And that's the other bit there. It's like you need to be on the outside, sort of on the outside of the power structure. That's why this idea of not accepting the rules, not accepting how gods choose mortals, which in the end is sort of the logical consequence of, like, the end point of that whole argument, that worshippers have power over their gods as well, and how that can play out to the disadvantage of gods. And yeah, we've seen this before, right? We were with Karsa Orlong, who tries not to be chosen, and we see how that worked out. So I felt like that point where we actually see that she's angry, and that sort of is part of the motivation there, I felt makes it a very crucial scene, because when it comes down to it, we have very few scenes where people are actually interacting longer with Tevere. There's very, like, not much of her, like, saying a lot. She's always there, but she's always like an unknown quantity, and people are always just on the outside, basically, not close to her, and that's important there as well. So yeah, we also learned that Bryce Benedict is starting. It wants to accompany the adjunct on their journey. We'll see how that goes. We get more of the, sort of hilarious side of like Tehol Bug, the court, the royal court at Letheras, which, is always fun. But, how to say, basically, we come to this really interesting point. It's like where no one really fully knows what's going to happen, but everyone has decided to work together anyway, which is the whole Letheras thing. But then again, also obviously, Bug or Male obviously knows a lot more. We'll see how that all turns out. We also have this like interesting idea of the sergeants trying, or not even the sergeants, but the soldiers, what's his name, Cuttle and Tar, trying to train the Letheri army. And there's a lot of interesting things going on there that we spoke before when I was in Midnight Tides, when we like saw the Edor and Letheri magic, how brutal that basically just is mass slaughter and nothing else. And that idea of soldiers starting to think, I feel that's like a very important aspect of the Malazan army. We've been told that before again and again. It's like they are soldiers that think, they are soldiers that question their leaders and don't just follow orders and die. And that is very powerful. And I feel there's like one thing in there is that it makes for a very successful army in a way, but also I feel it's interesting because a lot of times we as human beings, like regular people who are not soldiers, and this is something that also comes up again and again, came up with Bottle at one point in this chapter, when he's like, when they're figuring stuff out, and it's like soldiers are outside of humanity, because outside of the rest of humanity. And what we see here is that a lot of times we think badly of soldiers. They have, like, a lot of times at least, maybe that's also just a German thing, I don't know. But we don't have the highest opinion of people that actually become soldiers. For whatever reason, we don't have that. So showing us that a army is actually not faceless, but does consist of human beings. And also showing us that those human beings are actually pretty smart, well, some of them, and do not only just do what they're told, but also take an active interest in what they're doing, in a way. What their army is doing, what their leaders are commanding them to do, is really important for us to understand that this is the truth. It can lead to us readjusting our own view of armed forces, for example. All right. But, the larger part of this, with all these info dumps and all this stuff going on, is, I feel, not that interesting here. I guess it's more interesting to look at the Volcando, Grey Helms, and stuff like that, and this is sort of where I want to go today with them. One thing that I already mentioned before is the whole interaction with the Volcando is a masterclass in how we oftentimes, in arrogance, obviously, but on both sides, right? You have the Volcando, who think that they are superior, civilized, more civilized, and superior to the Kundril Burnt Tears, but also superior to those northern barbarians, the Grey Helms. And on the other hand, you have the Grey Helms and you have the Kundril, who also figure that they are superior to these effete, treacherous, and so forth Volcando, which, once again, is sort of the whole point that you see in even ancient Orientalism, when mostly the Persians are described as treacherous and effete, but that doesn't make them, completely harmless or anything. That was never the point, but you look at these ideas. And when you look at the burnt tears and on the other hand the gray helms, they very much embody this like Western arrogance towards the Volcando. Which, well, we have to talk more about that in the upcoming chapters when other things happen, other information becomes available, I guess. For now, we don't have that much to go on there, just to see how ridiculous it is, because both sides are basically wrong. Both sides are underestimating or overestimating, but definitely not getting their other side, is what I'm saying. And this is once again one of those lessons that we should all learn. It's like, yeah, you can't just completely just say, oh, these people, this country, they're all the same. No, obviously they're not. And it's always dangerous if you think you're smarter or better than the other side. That will never turn out well. Anyway, that was sort of the other thing that I found interesting once again, seeing that. And I find it really clever, in a way, how Krukava, the Mortal Sword, is like how we perceive her through Tanakalion, who doesn't really like her. We'll see more about that in the future, but also we've always seen her as super strong and strict and so forth, but in her interactions with the Chancellor and the Conquestor, she shows more like that she's actually intelligent and smart and shrewd and all of that. And it's so often that we kind of forget it, that that we underestimate people because of their physical appearance, right? It's the same with Karsa Orlong. It's like, he's a barbarian, he's tall and muscled as hell and all of that. But he's also really, really smart. So to see that turned around and have Krukava there be actually a smart leader and not just physically imposing and strong and so forth, once again shows us that actually being a soldier, or in this case, obviously more than just a soldier, but being a soldier is very much not only about physical strength, even in medieval times. If you want to be successful at that kind of thing, it needs brains as well, at least for some people. So yeah, there's that. What else? Twilight has decided to just be with the Sheikh, and I feel it's going to be interesting to look at where this line is going. They're planning to do something mythical, but they're also changing the world. This is like, once again, one of those things. The Malazan Book of the Fallen so far is very much about this conflict between old systems and new systems, and that the world needs to change to adapt and so forth, which is something that Twilight does when she decides to follow the legend, bring the Sheikh home, all of that, which is fine and good. But she also decides to take all the refugees with her, all the non-Sheikh, and thus breaking up the stupid, almost racist, focus on their one people kind of things. No, we as humanity are in this together, so it doesn't matter whether you whether you are full-blooded Sheikh, whatever that may mean, or you are well, in this case, actually criminal, but So yeah, there's that, and I do really, as I said, appreciate how these characters change these things. And once again, these are all women, right? There's Twilight, there's Krukava, there's Tavare. Just, cool to see that that's totally workable. What else? Icarium. I mean, we kind of get the whole thing with Icarium now, but for whatever reason, he has taken the people that died when he opened his portal into his New Warrens kind of thing. He has taken their souls into himself and is now hiding from the truth, I guess. And And yeah, I mean, we know Roto Sivana, we know Taxilian, and Breath seems to be Feather Witch. I'm not sure if we actually had a chance to identify the other, like, four people. Um, if they actually showed up in, like, I don't know, Reaper's Gale, I have no idea. It would be interesting to know, though. I feel like I'm always trying to figure this out, and on the other hand, maybe we don't need to figure out everything. It's like an interesting idea that, goes back to that whole uh, weird mindset that also comes with world building. It's like we want to know answers to these questions. We're gonna figure this out. The part of me, the nerd part in me that wants to know the actual truth, is like, I gotta figure this out. But maybe I should just accept that. Maybe I don't know, or I'll look at it next time I read the Reaper's Gale. Who knows? Anyway, this is a rather short video for today. We'll be back tomorrow with more Dust of Dreams and hopefully more and smarter things to say. Until then, have a great Monday, have a great week, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Cheers.